healthy food lovers. So what I'm going to be doing today is I want to answer some questions that have been in my DM. I want to address them so that it will be beneficial to other people that come across my page. I'm Mujidat and I'm into the catfish business, both farming and also processing. So now, one of the questions that most people used to ask is, how do I go about catfish business? How do I start up catfish business? And my answer is that you need to decide whether you want to go into the farming or the rearing or the production aspect. That is the drying aspect. One of the questions people always ask me is that, what do I need to start a catfish processing business? What do I need to start a catfish processing business? So you're going to need the following: a reliable source of fresh catfish. Either you are buying from outside, but just make sure that it's a good seed. A smoking or drying equipment, either an oven or a kiln. Then you need that skill. You need some basin bowls and the likes, packaging materials, a good and clean working space that is well ventilated, and of course access to water. You understand? Okay, so the next question is, how much capital do I need to start, to begin? How much capital do I need to begin my catfish business or to start my catfish business? So for small scale production, you will need between 350,000 to 500,000 to kickstart your catfish drying. Okay, so another question I have here is, can I process fish at home or do I need a factory? Of course, yes, you can start processing your fish at home, and gradually, as you start growing, you start making rooms for your own factory, which is going to be more convenient. And everything you have it in under the roof. There's nothing like, oh, it's raining, I can't check on the fishes, oh, it's too sunny, I can't take out the charcoal burner and all that. But for a starter, yes, just look for a space in your compound to erect your smoking crane and start your business. Another interesting question I have here is, how many fishes can I process? How many fishes can I process at a go? This question is related to the capacity of your oven. Behind me, I have a 120 kg capacity oven. Yeah, I have a 120 kg capacity oven, but I don't smoke 120 at a go because I always ensure that the ground floor is empty so that I won't get the fishes burnt. So I always budget between 80 to 100 kg at a go. But there are some circumstances that warrant me to use the ground floor. In that case, I have to be vigilant because this ground floor is closer to the charcoal burner. So there's a high tendency of getting those fishes burnt when they are being placed at the bottom side, at the ground level. You understand? Okay. Okay, let's go on. I hope I'm communicating. I hope we understand. If you have any questions, so far so good, you can drop your question in the comment section. Do well to like, share, and follow. Thank you. Let's go on. Another interesting question I have here is, do I need to register my processing business with NAFDAC? Yes, if you plan to sell your fish or your product to supermarkets or to sign outside the country, you will need approval you will need NAFDAC approval. It gives your product credibility. So if you're planning on exporting your product, putting your product in supermarket, you will need NAFDAC approval. What is the difference between smoked catfish, oven dried catfish, and sun dried catfish? As the name implies, smoked catfish is the one you place directly on the charcoal, whereby you use firewood, and it gives it that smoky taste. You understand? Though not too healthy for us, but people still consume it. While oven dry is the one you dry using an oven, either oven which is incorporated with gas or charcoal. Just ensure that if you're using an oven that is incorporated with charcoal, ensure that the flame coming from the charcoal is not emanating on the fishes. Why sun dry catfish is the one you put in the sun. You just take it out, you put it in the sun, but ensure that you cover it with the material so that flies will not perch on it. Of course, sun drying will take a longer time before it is fully dry, unlike when you use the oven or you smoke via the firewood. How long? Okay. This question is a bit tricky, but okay. How long does it take for catfish to be properly dry? And how do I know that the catfish is actually dry? So that is two questions in one. It will take a minimum of 2 to 3 days before catfish is properly dried. Catfish has a lot of fat, so it takes about a minimum to 2 to 3 days before it is properly dried. In the process of drying the catfish, you ensure that there's time you open up the oven for evaporation of it, for the fish to rest itself. And when you're actually starting, when you want to first load the fresh fish into the oven, you preheat the oven. So you dry your catfish on a temperature of about 60 degrees Celsius to 80 degrees Celsius. Then you gradually increase the temperature. So now, how do I know when the fish is properly dry? Whenever you touch it and it's crispy, and it doesn't break, no, it is crispy and it breaks easily, you can tell that that fish is properly dry. So you have to take it out from the oven, put it down and let it rest for a while. Go back there and recheck. And if by feeling it, by touching it, it's also still crispy and it is, it can easily break, you can tell that it's properly dry. Which side of the fish do I place on the rack? We normally place the back of the fish on the rack because it takes longer for the back to get dry. So you place the back of your fish on the rack, just the way we have here in the smoking clean. As you can see it here, the back is being placed on the rack. So we place the back of our catfish on the rack. Is it advisable to add seasoning to catfish? Well, it's a matter of choice. If your customer like to have a taste of spices in their catfish, you can do that. But it's not always advisable for large production for you to add spices for in order for the fish to last longer. So it's best for you to keep it as natural as possible. Rinse properly, deactivate with salt, wash properly, and dry. Catfish is naturally sweet, so it doesn't need any additive for it to taste good. Another question they normally ask me is that what is the color of dry catfish? The normal color of dry catfish is golden brown. And you can achieve that if the quality of your charcoal is okay and you follow some guidance that the guideline that I've already stated in some of my previous video, that when you're drying catfish, you first have to preheat the oven. After preheating the oven, you load your fish into the oven. It actually needs that initial heat, to give you that beautiful golden color. But by the way, if you don't get that golden color, that does not mean your catfish is not okay. It's still perfectly okay. You just have to, keep practicing, and in due time, you're going to actually get that color you need. But the normal color is golden brown. Another one is, should I smoke my catfish overnight? Of course, yes. Until the catfish is fully ready, it has to be dried continuously. But you have to be mindful of the heat, because there are times you don't need to overeat, there are times you need to overeat. So you take note of that. Get yourself a mentor and a tutor who can put you through on that. But you need to smoke your fish overnight. Don't decide that, okay, it is 9 p.m. I need to go to bed and I need to take out the charcoal. Your fish is going to get spoiled. So you leave the charcoal. You just make sure that you regulate the oven. You put the amount of charcoal that you feel is going to dry the fish to the next day, and the fish is not going to get burnt. So yes, you dry overnight. Can I dry catfish in a microwave? Yeah. Can I dry my catfish in a microwave? The answer is no. The answer is no. You cannot dry your catfish in a microwave. Catfish is a fatty fish, so you can't dry it in a microwave, please. Can I use my kitchen oven to dry catfish? Yes, you can use it. Although it might not dry properly and to take longer time, of course, you can use it. What causes cracks or breakage of catfish? A lot of things that causes catfish to crack or break. Number one, if that fish have not been raised properly, have not been fed properly, in the sense that the fish is lacking calcium and some vital nutrients, there is an high tendency that that kind of fish is not going to have good body mass, and it can easily crack. I'm not saying it's going to crack, like it can easily crack. And we know that catfish is fragile, you understand? So when it lacks calcium, it's calcium that allows the bone to be very strong. So when it lacks calcium, there's a tendency that that fish is going to actually start cracking from the edge when you start drying it. Another factor that affects the catfish that affects catfish when you're drying it, that makes it to crack or break, is the quality of charcoal. Nowadays, the quality of charcoal we are seeing in the market has decreased. It's not that good anymore. So you buy some charcoal. When you load into the oven, you expect that it's going to eat up your oven completely and start. You just notice some, what's that English? You just notice some ashes on the charcoal. Preventing the charcoal to quality of charcoal also have an effect on the drying of fish. Also, handling of the fish. Some of us, when we are drying fish, will be pressing it, touching it anyhow. We want to feel it if it is properly dry. And the fish is hot at that moment. At the moment we pick it and it's hot, and we're trying to press or touch it to feel all the body. If it is crispy, if it is dry, we tend to overdo and we make some cracks on the fish. So it can cause breakage. It can cause breakage. So if you consider all these half factors that I've listed, you put them into consideration, you are going to have less damaged catfish. So let's assume that your catfish have gotten broken and all that. What are you supposed to do with it? Just try as much as possible to remove the bones and repackage it. You can sell it as catfish fillets. Is catfish business capital intensive? Healthy food lovers, there is virtually no business that is not capital intensive. Yes, it is, but just start with something, cut your coat according to your size. How do we store catfish? You store catfish in an airtight container for it to have a longer shelf life. What can I use to clean catfish? People use different things to clean catfish. What works for you might not work for me. But the best you can use to clean your catfish is salt. Just normal salt. Deactivate it with an ample amount of salt. Because if you don't put enough salt to deactivate it, the catfish is still going to be slippery and it's going to stress the living hell out of you. So you need to have to put an. I'll do a video of the quantity of salt you can use for a certain kg of fishes. So just salt is okay. Some people use halon, some people pour hot water on it, some people use hashes. But those things, I don't. It will affect the taste of the fish. Some people use lime. It's still going to affect the taste of the fish. The best you can use is salt. And after you have used the salt you have used to deactivate it is enough to sweeten your fish. When you are cutting open the intestine to remove the gills, ensure that you're putting the fish in another water, because the fish on the body of the fish, before you cut it open, will have found its way inside the flesh of the fish. So in as much as possible, you try to reduce the rate at which the catfish is being soaked in salt, because most of us are watching our sodium level. How do I sort for fresh catfish to dry? When you want to start, the first thing is do your market survey. Look at your area, check, try to find out fish farmers around you. Go and meet them, tell them what you're planning to do. Nobody is going to steal you idea. Tell them you're planning to have a smoky clean where you can dry catfish. Can you get fresh catfish on a regular basis from them? So sort out where you can get your fresh catfish that is not far away from you first, or probably start rearing yours. So when you start rearing, at least you wait for 3 months before you harvest. That's smoking sizes. Then you wait for another 6 months. We call it table sizes. That's another ball game. That's another teaching entirely. So you need to, before you start catfish business, you that are listening to me today, you already have an idea that this is the business you want to do. You want to venture into catfish business, drying and selling of catfish. The first thing you need to know is do survey. Check your area. Who are rearing catfish around you? If you are not a catfish rearer, look for people that are rearing, meet up with them, negotiate with them, ask for their prices, and let them know that you want to be collecting that on maybe weekly basis or monthly basis. You understand? Have like two, three, four suppliers. After that, try to look for a fabricator that will fabricate your smoking clean. When you're fabricating your smoking clean, tell them to, if possible, put a thermometer. You can request for them to put a thermometer. That thermometer will make it easy for you to understand what is happening in your oven. But if they say they can't put a thermometer, ask them what will it cost you to buy the thermometer for them to install it for a first timer. You can actually do that. Our first oven came with a thermometer. I'm going to show you, but others did not come with one. This is the thermometer. I specifically asked for the thermometer as a first timer for me to be able to know what is actually happening in my oven. Once I take notes that the thermometer have reached this 60 degrees Celsius, I'm always having rest of mind. But when it passes more than 60 degrees Celsius, it's going to 70, 80, especially for fishes that have been in the oven for day two. Instantly, I know that what the fish is going to get burnt. So instantly, I will know that that fish is going to get burnt. So what I do, the measure I take, the first step is pop open the doors. I just pop open the doors of the oven for air to come in. I just pop open the doors of the oven first for air to come in. Then I start checking on the fishes to check which one is okay. Remove the oil collector if it is dirty and ask them to wash. So if you're starting for the first time, you can always request for a thermometer to be placed on your oven. Thank you. Apart from all these questions that I've answered, if you have any other question you want to know concerning how to start your catfish business, now we are only treating how to start drying of catfish. After we finish treating how to start your drying of catfish, we are going to start how to do catfish farming. Okay, so if you have any question related to how to dry, how to go about it, feel free to drop your question in the comment section, and don't forget, kindly like, share and follow me for more information on how to dry catfish. I'll be taking other products, not only catfish. I call myself the queen of food processing because there's virtually nothing I can't dry. Name it vegetable, name it tomato, ginger, garlic, you know. When you have a smoking clean, you have the power to dehydrate, to dry anything.